Oh, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Joy Gym. My name is Jamal Washington, and today we will be working on different mental exercises to help us cultivate a greater sense of joy in our lives. And yes, you did hear me correctly. I did say mental exercises, but you can think of them a lot like physical exercises. Let's say you had a certain weight loss or weight gain goal you were trying to basically just change the shape of your body. So, what do you typically do? You hire a physical trainer. This physical trainer will give you physical exercises, and we do those exercises on a consistent basis. Maybe it's squats, sit ups, crunches, 3, 4 times a week. And over time, by doing these physical exercises consistently, our body naturally changes. And that's the same concept that we take here for the Joy Gym. With we do different mental exercises, and hopefully with consistency, our body will naturally change. The mental exercises include a guided breathing exercise and a guided meditation. Today is Tuesday, Take a Breath Tuesday. And on Take a Breath Tuesday, we focus a bit more on the breathing exercise aspect of things and a little bit less on the guided meditation. But normally, the guided breathing exercise on any other day is more of like the warm up. The We also do this every weekday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now, starting today, we are doing it on or simulcasting on three places. We are doing this on YouTube Live, LinkedIn Live, and we are also on Clubhouse. So we are slowly expanding. So exciting. Let's see, is there anything else to note before we begin? Nothing that is coming to mind. So, with that being said, let me hit my sound bowl and let's jump in. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Joy Gym. Today, we're going to practice a guided breathing exercise, otherwise known as breath work. But why practice breath work? Well, our emotions, our mind state is deeply tied to our breath. If you don't believe me, simply think about any time where you've had particularly strong emotions. I know for myself, when I am feeling a lot of stress, my breathing gets higher and higher up in my chest and it gets lighter and lighter. Or sometimes the deep breathing that comes of really intense anger, or maybe sometimes the hyperventilating of very intense forms of fear or panic. All of these um, emotional mind states bring about a certain change in the pace, intensity, and speed of our breath. But the beauty is, this is a two-way street. Just like how our emotions can bring about a change in our breath, purposefully changing our breathing can at times change and alter our emotions. And that's what we're going to take advantage of today. That's really what the point of breath work is, at least in the form that I teach it. Typically, this is also why we always do a guided breathing exercise before our guided meditation. You'll often hear me say something along the lines of, we're doing this guided breathing exercise to help soothe us, center us, and breathe out the stress of the day. That's actually literal, because by doing these guided breathing exercise, specifically breathing out or taking in deep breaths using our entire diaphragm and lungs from the belly button up versus just the chest. So breathing deeply and then exhaling for longer than we breathed in uh, is oh, I'm sorry, losing my words today. We have evolved where that process of breathing deeply and breathing out for longer than we breathe in naturally calms and settles our nervous system. It can be pretty natural for most of us to have a slightly or maybe acutely or even moderately active nervous system as we carry on all this stress throughout the day that we may not even be aware of. So, with this guided breathing exercise, it's a great way to just take a pause in the day, center us a bit, and then hopefully we are a bit more resourced. We have a bit more clarity and calmness to jump in. I see we have a comment here on LinkedIn. Hello, Shoshana. It is good to see you again. And hello, Ashley. Seems like we have the community slowly coming in. I missed you all, and I really appreciate you all coming back. For those of you who are just jumping in, we were just about to actually start our guided breathing exercise for the day. So you picked a wonderful time. Let's see, anything else to note? No. Let us begin by assuming our position. To begin, I'd like to invite you to find a comfortable position. You can be seated, standing, or lying down, as long as you're comfortable. I'd like to invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze. The video is buffering. Good to know. There's not much I can do around that on my end on this side. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep going. If the issues continue, please let me know and we will make necessary adjustments for our next video tomorrow. Frozen and no sound. Oof. Aaron seems to have some large difficulties here today. How is it now, Shoshana? I can't post a comment here. Are things a bit better, or are we still frozen with no sound? I guess it will take us a moment to get the response. Well, today was the day where we tried to go on both LinkedIn and YouTube at the same time. Maybe we will have to make some different configurations with the Wi-Fi. We may have to get an Ethernet cable to go in from where the box is all the way here. Whatever it takes to make it work. I'm not hearing anything on Shoshana's side, so for the sake of the session, we will keep moving. And again, if there are any necessary adjustments we need to make, we'll work towards making them for the future. So, as we mentioned, we are in a comfortable position, preferably one with our spine erect and not rigid. I guess we have everything back. Thank you, Lewis. Oh, everyone's coming. I love y'all. If you have not done so already, you may close your eyes or lower your gaze if it is safe to do so, and if you feel safe doing so. Today, we're going to practice box breathing. With box breathing, we will breathe in through our nose for 4 seconds, hold, not breathing in, not breathing out for 4 seconds. Breathe out through our mouth for 4 seconds and hold, not breathe in, not breathe out for 4 seconds. The exact instructions you will hear me say is in nose, letting you know to breathe in through your nose. Hold, letting you know to hold. Out, mouth, letting you know to breathe out through your mouth. And hold. And we'll hold. With box breathing, we will start by doing it for around 4 seconds. And we'll do it in a few cycles. So we'll take a few breaths, and then we'll pause, and then we'll take a few more breaths. Judging how the group is doing, we may extend the time to 5, 6, or maybe even 7 or 8 seconds. But baby steps, we're going to start with 4. But please know, as with any guided breathing exercise in this session, this is simply a suggestion. If you'd rather breathe at your own pace, or you find yourself feeling lightheaded or struggling to keep up, then feel free to do your own guided breathing exercise. Doesn't mean you're bad. Doesn't mean anything bad happened. In fact, I actually applaud you for taking the time to give your body what you needed in that moment. For those who will be practicing box breathing with me, on my count, I'd like to invite you to start by simply breathing the air out of your lungs. And breathe in nose, hold, out mouth, hold, in nose, hold, out mouth, hold. And one more time. In nose, hold, out mouth, hold. And when you are ready, you can let go of this guided breathing exercise and return your breathing to normal. Okay. Oh, we have everyone here. Wow. Thank you all so much for coming. Wow, my heart. For those of you all who just joined, we are practicing a guided breathing exercise. The guided breathing exercise we are doing is box breathing, where we breathe in through our nose for 4 seconds, we hold for 4 seconds, we breathe out through our mouth for 4 seconds, and we hold. We just did our first set of three. You can see that as the practice round. For those of us who this may be our first time, that was just getting our feet wet, trying it out. In this next round, we're going to do it for 5 breaths. We just did it for 3, but now we're going to go for a cycle of 5 breaths, again with the same cadence. You'll hear me say in nose, hold, out mouth, hold. So, as always, I'd like to invite you to find a comfortable position. And I'd like to invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze. For those who will be breathing in count with me, I'd like to invite you to simply breathe the air out of your lungs. And breathe in nose, hold, out mouth, hold, in nose, hold, out mouth, hold, in nose, hold, out mouth, hold, in nose, hold, out mouth, hold. And last time, in nose, hold, out mouth, hold. When you are ready, I'd like to invite you to return your breathing to its natural state. When you are ready, you may slowly flutter your eyes open and look around the room. Okay, so that was box breathing for 5 breaths. We got a little bit of practice with our feet wet with 3 breaths. Then we jumped to doing box breathing for 5 breaths in a row. And like I mentioned earlier, box breathing which originally comes from pranayama, which is deep yogic breathing. It's an ancient breathing technique. We can extend the time in which we do it. Typically, in these sessions, I like to do them for 4 seconds for beginners, but there have been times where we've even worked it up, or at least I've worked it up to 8 or 10 seconds. So we would breathe in through our nose for 10 seconds. We would hold for 10 seconds. We'd breathe out through our mouth for 10 seconds. And we'd hold for 10 seconds. We're not doing that in this session, but just know that with this breathing exercise, it's one that we can play around a bit to find the one that works best for us. For example, in my experience, typically if there's a song that's playing that's relatively slow, I'll sometimes do this guided breathing exercise to the 4 count of the song, right? It's nice to have a nice little trap beat going on in the background and having a nice breathing exercise to go with it. But there are times where if I have a bit more time, like maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and I really want to go and get a more out of the guided breathing exercise, we'll extend it to 6 seconds per step, then 8 seconds, and then sometimes going 10 or 12. But I wouldn't recommend going that high if this is your first time. Maybe if you are just getting used to this, stopping at 6. And that's actually how we're going to end today's session. We practiced box breathing for 3 breaths for 4 seconds. Yeah, we practiced it for 5 breaths for 4 seconds. Now, to close out our practice today, we're going to do box breathing for 6 seconds. So we're going to breathe in through our nose for 6, hold it for 6, breathe out through our mouth for 6, and hold it. But don't worry, it's the same technique we've been doing this entire time. We're just slowly extending the time out so we can have more time. And the real reason for this, the reason that we get more benefits the longer we hold in, is like I mentioned, with most guided breathing exercise I know, especially ones that are supposed to calm and settle the nervous system, the longer that we're holding and exhaling, typically the more of the relaxation benefits that we get. Don't quote me on that one, but that has been my experience, which is because if you think about it, if you have, you're welcome, Sophia. If you have, when we're doing 4 seconds, we have four, or we're doing it 4 seconds per, we have 4 seconds breathing in, and then that's 12 seconds of breathing out and exhaling. But if we do it for 6 seconds each time, now that's 6 seconds breathing in, now that's 18 seconds. And then if you could even go up to 10 seconds per breath, 10 seconds breathing in, and that's 30 whole seconds holding it and breathing out. So it's actually a longer time that you're holding the breath and exhaling that gives us a deeper benefit. But like I said, we're not going to 10. We're going to do 6 seconds here. And a quick rule of thumb, a quick tip for us is that if you find yourself struggling a bit as we go to these longer lengths, see if you can take a deeper inhale. See if we can have more air in our lungs to help us as we go for longer bouts of holding and breathing out. And lastly, when you try to breathe, see if you can expand your stomach and diaphragm all the way up with the lungs in your chest cavity. We actually have way more air that we can bring in than we normally do because most adults, we breathe up here. But with these breathing exercises, if we can learn to take advantage of all of our I guess, respiratory system, diaphragm, and lungs combined, we can take in more air and get even more benefits out of this. So let's jump into our 6 seconds per slot and let's close out today. To begin, I'd like to invite you to find a comfortable position. If you have not done so already, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze. We'll breathe in through the nose for 6 seconds, hold for 6, breathe out through the mouth for 6 seconds, and hold for 6. And we'll do this for 3 breaths. For those who are breathing in time with me, I'd like to invite you to breathe the air out of your lungs. And breathe in, nose, hold, breathe out, mouth, hold, breathe in, Nose, hold, breathe out, mouth, hold. And last time, breathe in, nose, hold, breathe out, mouth, hold. When you are ready, you may let go of this practice. When you are ready, you may slowly return your breathing to its natural state. However, you breathe when you're not trying to change or influence your breath in any way. When you are ready, you may slowly flutter your eyes open and look around the room to better ground yourself in the space that you are in. Thank you all so much for joining our guided breathing exercise today. You did a great job. Keep up the good work. Okay, and that concludes our session for the day. For those of you who this may be your first time here, typically what we do is we do a guided breathing exercise, then we'll jump into a guided meditation, which we did not do today due to time, and that today we focused on guided breathing exercise. It is Take a Breath Tuesday after all. And then afterward, we'll give a quick update, either talks about the general topics about mindfulness or coaching or just general well being, or just updates on how the Joy Gym and life is going. Kind of get a mixed bag. We haven't done an update in a while. It's funny, I feel a little nervous because now we're not even talking just to LinkedIn and Clubhouse. Now there's YouTube that gets to know how everything is going. But it's nice. How do I describe it? Have you ever been overwhelmed in a good way? Like I don't even know how to describe it. I guess the what I'm thinking of is imagine if you're like in elementary school and like it's your birthday and you get a cake that you just can't possibly eat on your own. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I got this cake that I love. Thank you, but it's too much cake. I can't eat it all. That's kind of how I feel. We're in the process of the Joy Gym where we're getting very close to starting to scale. So really starting to reach out to people in droves and really start to grow this out. Oh, how often do I offer this? That's a good question. So we do this every weekday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, between running the Joy Gym as the actual business and running the Joy Gym as a content platform with these guided meditations. So for those of you who can't hear, Sophia asked how often we do this, and then she's saying she's overwhelmed now in a good way. Same. You know what I'm talking about. So yes, like, and it actually goes exactly what we were talking about when it comes to overwhelm, right? So like it was one thing when we were kind of creating this on the side that we just did on Clubhouse, right? And now it's kind of growing out into this bigger and bigger thing to the point I'm like looking around my room, like I got to turn this into a recording studio. You know what I mean? Like, and with all the good momentum that's slowly starting to happen with the Joy Gym, I'm dealing with this thing that I want to call positive overwhelm, where there's excitement, there's ambition, there's passion around what you're doing, but your body is still going through the same physiological signs as someone who is dealing with stress. Because I don't think we've ever actually defined stress in this room. We've defined trauma, but maybe not stress. In this situation, when I'm talking about stress, I'm talking about something we call adaptation energy, which this means is the energy that it takes to adapt or change to something, right? So And with this situation, typically we associate stress with difficult emotions, right? Stress with anger, fear, jealousy, anxiety. But when we think about stress in terms of adaptation energy, anything can cause stress, if that makes sense. If anything is causing us to adapt. So even again, you having that being that little kid and having all that birthday cake that you want, it may bring about a lot of happy feelings, but now you have to adapt because you have to eat more than your little stomach can hold, right? So it's been interesting because I find myself one of the tools I kind of like to talk to people about and even go through with myself is like the red, yellow, green in terms of where you are on your stress slash burnout meter, right? Red is like, okay, either you are barreling towards burnout or you're already there. Yellow is like, okay, you still have time to recover. You can go back to green where it's more safe, or you can kind of go closer to red if you're not careful. Typically, if you continue in the path you're going, you'll go down to red. If you make changes, you'll go back to green. Green. Oh, hey, Jessica. Oh, we have the whole crew here. I'm loving this. If you are just joining Jessica, we are giving a quick update on just life. And now we're talking of just about stress and how stress can affect us, even if like it's something that we're happy about, even if it's something that brings us joy, right? And we were talking about the burnout meter, right? Almost like a stoplight, like red, yellow, green. We had mentioned that red was you're burnt out or you're barreling towards there. Yellow is you're moving towards burnout. Typically, if you keep doing whatever it is you were doing, and you're in yellow, you'll go to red. And green is like you're safe. You're safe. You're I don't want to say you're safe. Green is more like you have the capacity and resources to continue doing things in the same manner. You have a bit of emotional resilience. You can also think of green as a level of sustainable health because one of the things, hello, I'm loving all this chat action. One of the things that yes, I am starting to record these more now that we do this with YouTube. All the live streams become sessions, and you can always pick them up on LinkedIn as well because you'll see like Jamal Washington was live, and then you'll see the session. You'll get the same thing on YouTube now. The only time we don't record things is through Clubhouse, but as we keep growing and building stability, hopefully we can start to have a podcast that comes with this and maybe even a transcription as well. So a lot of good things are coming in. But to finish out what we were mentioning when it comes to being in the green, you can imagine that like if you were in the green, you could keep doing what you were doing and not have to deal with burnout or overwork or overstress in perpetuity. But typically, we kind of love to dabble in all of them. We may start in the green, then go in the yellow, then dip in the red, then come back to the yellow, then go back to red, then go to green. Yes. And Sophia says her goal is to go from yellow to green. That is my goal because right now I am going from yellow to orange. I'm just tipping into the red and well, trying to have to pull back. But it's been a very crazy journey because, like, in the past, when I dealt with yellow or red in terms of stress or burnout, it was something I wasn't enjoying doing. So it's like, I'm stressed and I'm stressed with what I'm doing. So like it's almost like stacking on top of each other, right? Like making it a bigger weight. And I thought that by finding something goes for more green. And I thought that by finding something that was more that I love doing, I wouldn't have to deal with it. There wouldn't be any stress, my naive mind. And now I'm finding that same aspect of stress coming in, even if it's something that we enjoy. And that's why we had to define stress as adaptation energy, the energy it takes to adapt to stimuli. So, saying all that to say, even if you love what you're doing, please, please be very cognizant of your stress levels, cognizant of where you are. Sophia, this really engaged fan in the comments, mentioned how last week she was all in the red. That was me as well. Now I'm actually thinking about realizing I was in the red for the last 2 weeks, and now it's coming to the point where it's demanding more of a response. There's a book I read called When the Body Says No that talks about how sometimes we have so much willpower and passion to what we're doing. We'll push our body past its limits. And eventually the body will force us to stop. The body will say no, whether through burnout or stress-based disease, or maybe being so exhausted that we literally don't have the capacity to complete whatever task we were doing. I'm saying all this to say this can happen to you regardless of this. regardless if this is a job that you love doing, it's a job that you struggle doing, because often when it comes to stress and how our body responds to it, it really boils down to lifestyle. There could be choices that we're making, small choices, like maybe watching that last Netflix episode or eating that extra sugar or drinking that extra sugary drink that in combination with each other give our body less resources and less capacity to have resilience towards stress. Wow. I am really loving how beneficial this was for everyone. That's all I have for today, but this is typically how the session goes. So if you all would love to have any particular topics that we cover or want any more information about some of the things we talk about in the Joy Gym, please let me know. For those of you all who may not be aware, the topic of the Joy Gym changes every day of the week. So today was Take a Breath Tuesday. Tomorrow was Wellness Wednesday. We typically do either compassion or manifestation meditations. Uh, Thursday is Thankful Thursday. We do a gratitude meditation, talk about gratitude. And Friday is Freestyle Friday. I'm in the process of creating a whole new slew of meditations for us and mindfulness practices for us. Freestyle Friday, I kind of consider it like open mic night, where I can, or anyone who would like to come, can come and try out different meditations or just, say hello to our beautiful community here. So that is everything I have for the day. Oh, sorry. Last thing to mention, what we typically do is we will end slightly early on LinkedIn and now on YouTube to have a slightly longer conversation on Clubhouse. I am loving all of these comments in the chat. But sometimes, given that we started on Clubhouse for almost a year before we came here, came on to LinkedIn and YouTube. There's just something about being able to hear and engage with the community that I always got to give them some time for. So we're going to close out on LinkedIn and YouTube. We'll talk a bit more on Clubhouse, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with all that being said, thank you so much for coming. Ooh, I got to give y'all a shout out. Thank you, Shoshana. Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you, Jessica. I really appreciate you all for coming. I love each and every one of you all, and may you find ease. Bye.